You might have heard the news already. OnePlus has suspended one of the cameras on its flagship phone. They've prevented people from using it. In my nearly 10 years of testing smartphones, I can genuinely say I've never seen this one happen. And I've got a theory as to why. So, with the OnePlus 8 Pro, the company's top-level 2020 flagship, OnePlus introduced a strange feature. The phone has a quad camera setup, and 3 of those cameras are just normal phone cameras. There's a main camera, a 3x zoom camera, and an ultra-wide. But the 4th camera, they call it the color filter camera, is just bizarre. You take photos through it and you get this low-resolution shot with just funky, inverted-looking colors, and nobody could work out for the life of them why OnePlus even introduced it. We're talking a company that is so cost-conscious that it's taken them till 2020 to even add proper water resistance to their phones. How did this company see that and think, that's what we need? Can we have one of those, please? Well, this color filter camera is actually not what it initially seems. It's being marketed as just a cool way to see some interesting colors, but it's actually more than that. Without turning this into a full science lesson, you might know there's an entire spectrum of light, and the light that we humans can actually see is just a small part of it, this sliver right here. But most cameras can see outside of that range. I don't know if you've ever tried this, but if you pointed your TV remote at your face and pressed a button, you wouldn't see anything. But if you did the same thing and instead looked through your phone's camera, some phones would be able to pick up the infrared light. Now, you can take this further. By adding a specialized filter on top of your lens, you can either limit or completely block the visible light getting through, so that you're only getting that infrared. And we're pretty sure that's what's going on with this color filter camera. This isn't new. Infrared photography has a pretty strong following in the DSLR community. You can go on Amazon right now, buy a filter, stick it on your lens, and get a very similar effect. And it's been known for quite a while that if you restrict your camera to only being able to see that infrared, you can see through some objects. Through bin bags, through sunglasses, and yeah, through some clothing. And this can be useful. For example, Fujifilm came out with an infrared camera for crime scene photographers. You could take a photo and unearth hidden details that your eyes just wouldn't have been able to pick up otherwise. Airports, they use infrared to scan for weapons that people might be carrying under their clothing, as another example. And I'm guessing that someone at OnePlus saw this, they saw that nobody had so far put that tech onto a smartphone, and then they suggested that OnePlus do it first. It's different, it's quirky, it would make for an unbelievable TV advert, the fact that your phone can see the invisible. You gotta remember that for this year in particular, OnePlus's flagship pricing has shot up. It was $669 last year on the 7 Pro, it's $899 on the 8 Pro. And when you're gonna do something like that, you've gotta have stuff to show for it. But understandably, this particular feature has been controversial. By adding the feature to a smartphone, where it's super accessible, where it's going to be in the hands of millions and it's going to be taken everywhere, you could argue that that is an invasion of people's privacy. And then add to all of that if you were going to do this on a DSLR camera, it's an incredibly involved process. You need high-end equipment, you need powerful photo editing software, and know-how. But this OnePlus camera does the entire thing for you. When people realized what this OnePlus IR camera could do, there was an initial reaction of, whoa, this is amazing, I can see the insides of my TV remote. But within a couple of days, that was replaced by, wait a second, should that be allowed? So, to stop it blowing out of control, OnePlus has just said that they're going to issue a software update that stops people from using this camera. Okay, quick update. When I first filmed the rest of this video, everyone was reporting that OnePlus was going to shut down this camera globally in all regions. But from their latest statement, it seems like OnePlus is only going to shut down the camera in China. Okay, here's my theory. And just bear in mind, take this with a pinch of salt. I'm not saying I know this is true. It would just explain a lot. OnePlus knew exactly what this camera was capable of. I'm struggling to understand how you can possibly develop something like this and not know what it is and what the implications are. And even if they didn't to start with, then surely as you start testing this camera, as you take hundreds of thousands of photos to train the color processing algorithms, you must have realized that it can see through stuff. And there's a few just odd things about this color filter camera, which I have talked about in my other OnePlus 8 Pro videos, but I don't think they quite clicked into place until now. So for example, before a new smartphone gets launched, a few people in the media get something called a pre-briefing. That's a company's chance to show us their devices ahead of time, just so we can prepare content on it. And when I was in the briefing for this phone and they showed me the color filter camera, I was just sat there scratching my head. because this is the first time a camera like this has ever been seen on a phone. It's completely unlike anything out there. But in the entire, maybe 1.5 hour briefing session, they spent a total of 1 minute on it. The demo they gave us was by taking a really quick photo of a green plant using the main camera, and then taking the exact same photo again with the color filter camera and showing us that it now looked like a yellow plant. And I remember sitting there thinking, what did I just see? Did OnePlus actually just build a fourth camera to be able to turn green plants yellow? The quality of the photo was bad, and then when I asked further, how is this useful? Are there other situations it's better in? The only real answer I got was a very vague, this will make your photos stand out. From a company who has built their entire reputation on not wasting, on only putting in the features that they think are really important, I was just puzzled. So what I think happened is at some point during the development, someone realized that this IR camera could cause controversy. They realized that if they start telling people it could see through plastics, people would very quickly realize it could also see through some clothing. But maybe this realization just happened really late in development, where maybe it was too late to redesign the phone, and maybe it was easier to just relabel it so that people wouldn't focus on it. Instead of calling this like some new generation OnePlus Vision camera, they just called it a color filter camera. Instead of bragging about all the interesting things it can do, on their website there's just one photo of a couple of trees buried right at the bottom of the camera section. And this would also explain why OnePlus makes it so difficult to even use the color filter camera. When I first got the phone, I couldn't understand. If OnePlus are going to introduce this crazy, unique, interesting camera on the back, then why do I have to click on the filters tab and scroll right to the last one to reach it? Even though there's an entire camera on the back just for this one feature, why is it lower down in the filter list than matte, which literally just takes a normal photo and tones down the saturation? And the only thing I can think of, which maybe kind of makes sense now, is that OnePlus didn't want people to use it. Perhaps they knew what it could do, so if everyone started using it, it would be more likely to become a controversy. By hiding it away like that, it means that the people who bought the phone for that feature can still find it, but that an average user isn't just going to happen across it. But bear in mind, this is just speculation on my end, and the more important question is, does it matter? Is the OnePlus 8 Pro now less of a good deal? Not really. And also, OnePlus has said they're working on a fix for it. I'll be curious to see how that works though, because as far as I can see, this is more of a hardware thing. This will be fine, as long as they deal with it right. If all they do is just re-release it with a less aggressive image processing algorithm, that's not going to cut it, because people can still just edit those images themselves afterwards. But yeah, I'm curious where you guys stand on the whole thing. Let me know. And with that being said, my name is Aaron, this is Mr. Who's the Boss, and I'll catch you in the next one.